Good morning, everyone, and everyone listening. This is Connie Lingus here with...
Extremely tired and studied out. I have finals. We all have finals. Welcome to finals.
also known as Peter, here for another edition of WNYU's very own. Category is Dragcast Extravaganza. On today's episode, we are talking Season 11, Episode 10 of Drag Race, also known as Drama Race. Afterwards, we will be talking a hot button issued,
As always.
overproduced, favoritism, or something else entirely, which we will elaborate on once we get there. Before we get there, though, let's talk the episode, starting with a return of one of my favorite mini challenges, Slap Out of It. So this was the challenge that they did last season, where basically they would have to say something nasty to Rue that would prompt them to fake slap them, and they'd have to react to the fake slap.
Except this time, they're slapping each other.
Which honestly I feel like made it better because
This was the reading challenge done right.
Exactly. This is literally another reading challenge, except they went further with it, which means it was more fun. I think generally everyone was on point. There wasn't really like a particular standout to me. I feel like this is one of the first times that everyone had a chance to shine.
I think that out of everybody, Brooke did the best, though. I think that her winning was fair and justified.
So yeah, that was the mini challenge, to which determined how things were picked for the maxi challenge / runway, which was a makeover of eliminated queens. They brought back a bunch of the eliminated queens.
And by a bunch, we mean everybody except for Raja, Kahana, and...
Oh, Mercedes.
Mercedes.
That's true. I guess pretty much they brought back all the non-forgettable ones.
Some of the choices were questionable. One of the choices was questionable.
What, Soju?
Yeah, we'll talk about Soju.
Yeah, we'll talk about her once we get there. But let's talk the workroom shenanigans. For the first time in a little while, I felt like the workroom shenanigans was like quite a big chunk of the show.
It was the chunk of it, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was because of all the drama. So, where do we start with the drama? I guess we start with the drama in order. The great Ariel wig fiasco.
That could have been so much fun if, like, this entire episode was just Ariel going around,
Detective
sneaking,
Ariel,
trying to find out where her wigs are. I was hoping that's where they were going with it, and they didn't go there with it, so I'm disappointed.
Yeah, she just kind of, like, gave up.
She was just kind of like, these girls taking my wigs? What's the deal with that? And it's like... Okay. I really wanted to see her go around and try to interrogate queens. That would have been hilarious. Unfortunately, that's not what we got.
Yeah, that was the Ariel thing. Didn't really have that much a conclusion to it, other than Ariel was kind of annoyed at the end. Afterwards.
So Brooke wins the mini challenge, and she gets, once again, one of the more useful mini challenge rewards. Instead of just like, oh, yay, you win, it was, you get to pair up the queens. Now, Silky mostly was saying, you're making me do worse by putting me with a Soju, but thinking about this strategically, and look, we've seen from the past that when Brooke gets a mini challenge advantage like this, she's willing to play strategically. Mm-hmm. But this is not, I don't think this was strategic play. I think that she just chose Soju because she actually thought that their styles of drag were similar. If she wanted to be strategic, she would have given Soju to a closer competitor, say Nina, possibly Evie, or Akira.
Yeah, like either that or it kind of just felt like she picked like all the queens that she got all the other queens out of the way, and then it was like, well, Silky has Soju, that's just kind of how it turned out.
Scarlett's back, and she should have never left because that she had so much fun in the workroom.
Yeah,
and she always had fun in the workroom.
I love
and
Scarlett so much.
Seeing Scarlett get paired up with Evie, which isn't something that normally fits Scarlett's style, but watching that happen, I was like, wow, I'm really excited to see what comes out of this.
It's a shame that the outcome was kind of lame, but we'll get to that. But speaking of Scarlett, this contributes to the other big drama. Most of the drama was reliant on basically opinions and shade towards Silky. We had everyone reading Silky. Let's play some clips.
I've never saw Silky paint anybody else, and Mama kind of blind.
Silky's a wonderful performer, but I think in terms of looks, I think putting her with anybody, it would have been a bit of a struggle for her.
We could literally see your pads on the runway.
So you have everybody basically saying, I don't know why Silky's at this point in the show. Or they're really questioning Silky's style and her talent for these last few episodes, which I think should be brought into question, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you have everybody asking these questions, and in the meantime, Akira is skulking around. It's like, get back to your own work, But no, she's skulking around because she wants to start some drama.
Akira loves to stir the pot.
Also, I mean, they kind of alluded to this. They don't really talk about the Dream Girls on the show. This is the first time that we've really heard the Dream Girls mentioned on the actual show instead of just something like Untucked or outside of the show. But the Dream Girls are a group of friends that are Silky, Vanjie, and Akira. So I get why Akira would tell Silky about this if she's like, oh, I want to look out for my friend. But like, she just kind of brought it up and stirred up a whole ton of drama. Which I don't think Silky won the argument whatsoever.
I think what was arguably the most egregious and the thing that baffled me most is just her inability to properly respond to Ru.
Yeah.
RuPaul is like, what are you going to do to fix this? And she's like, I'm going to do some stuff. What are you going to do exactly?
You'll see. I'll do my Silky stuff. Yeah. And you look at this and you wonder, how is she in the top 6?
That flabbergasted look.
Ru expressions are very important in this episode.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, we'll get to that for sure.
I haven't seen a Ru look like that since Honey jumped off of the show. So
the Honey Seppuku.
Since Honey leapt to her own doom. By the way, Honey was cool in this episode. She came in with this beard. That was pretty nice. But like, I do miss Honey. I think that she could have been really good if she didn't jump to her demise. Brooke stayed mostly out of everything that was going on.
Brooke's a good gal. She's the clear front runner to win, especially after how this episode turned out, I think. Which we'll get to now with the Maxi Challenge and Runway. As we said, it was the makeover of the Eliminated Queens. We got our best, we got our worst, we got our meh. Starting with best. Let's see if we agree this week.
We'll disagree on a few things, I'm sure.
So, 2 things in best for me. We got the Vanjie and Ariel combo. I think definitely the standout, and in my opinion, should have been the winner.
I disagree strongly. I think that this was a Vanjie comeback. I don't think that this was a top-tier outfit, though. And that's because, yes, there was this family resemblance that we always talk about during the makeover challenge. But what was an issue was that I thought that they were a little too similar. Yes, I know that there were differences, such as the fact that one of them wore a dress and the other one wore a jumpsuit. But that doesn't change the fact that I saw it as very similar outfits. The patterns were incredibly similar. The makeup was incredibly similar. The wigs were incredibly similar. I was just like,
but that's
I want more differences. And you should be able to make notable differences in this challenge.
The other best is Brooke and Plastique?
No doubt. Oh. I thought that the delivery on this mattered the most.
Yeah.
I have been stressing delivery as a means for some of the top competitors to shine this season, which is why I'm always very happy with Evie and lately Brooke especially, and I think that Brooke did really well. She gave Plastique a new look where she wasn't just pretty, which is something that I've been saying, that all but one of Plastique's looks were just pretty, and she made her look
elegant,
Brooke's regal, royal style.
Yeah,
and it worked well. That little thing where she motions, you get behind me, you don't step out of line, that was cute. Incredible.
Yeah.
I think that the colors were slightly different enough and the hair was slightly different enough to warrant a family resemblance without looking like twins.
That's fair.
I thought that they were the best by a lot.
Meh. I didn't hate Nina and Suga's gay circus as much as the judges did. It feels a bit... it feels like they have a very rigid view on how drag should look. Like, in terms of, like, I feel like they're always, like, negative towards campy.
They've adapted. It used to be, if you look at the first episode of season 1, you see a very common critique of, it looks so masculine. You look like a guy. It's like, whoa, you would not see that anymore.
Yeah, now
But-
it's just, you look too campy. It's not feminine enough. It's not pretty enough.
I don't think that this was an issue with camp necessarily. I do think that there were issues with resemblance being one of them and
But that's the thing.
seeming shoddiness being another.
Oh, okay. Shoddiness
On Suga specifically, not
Yeah.
really on Nina.
Yeah, I could understand the shoddiness in terms of like the hair and the makeup, but in terms of resemblance, it's how daft do you have to be to, like it's it's like if you had a yin and yang combo.
The difference
They look different, but in concept they are one and the same.
Okay, the differences in the appearance were slight enough to the point where they stood out. The wigs were like just different enough, not in color but in shape, to make you kind of stick out and notice. The style of the dresses were just different enough to make you kind of stick out and notice. Look, I get the concept that, oh, the LGBT community and, the gay community and the trans community are together and we're family. I get the concept. But just because you use that as a concept doesn't mean that you can just get away with having something that looks completely different and saying,
but
even though we're different, we're one and the same. Okay, it's not like an excuse, a get out of jail free card so that you can avoid family resemblance.
But I disagree. But like
I get the concept.
But that's the thing though. Like I think conceptually enough. Like, it should not be a critique that they were too different, because they are one and the same. They are tied together. There is a definite link between the two. They exist one the same. It is I feel like it is ignorant to ignore that.
I understand the concept that she was going for, and I think that she would have gotten some serious points, as she should have, if she had incorporated this with a more similar appearance as well. She didn't, and that's why I can't really give her credit for it.
Okay. I'm going to have to agree to disagree.
I think so as well.
Because I could keep going.
Yeah, we both can. We'll agree to disagree.
But at the very least, do we agree that it's meh? It's not worst?
I would put it on meh, bordering worst.
That's fair. And then I think Akira and Honey's were meh in terms of, like, it just felt like more Akira, and it felt like I've seen that exact outfit in Akira before. She did it well, and the resemblance was good, but it just looked too exact to me.
I would have put Akira in the best, but not a competitive best. I would have put her, like, top 2, but she's not very competitive with Brooke, because I think that Brooke largely outshone everybody. I think that it, once again, Ross said this several times. Mm. It's not reinventing the wheel, but the wheel is just fine on its own.
Yeah.
It was well done. It was well designed. There was enough difference where you still had that like family resemblance thing going, but they didn't look too similar. I don't think that it was a winner, but I think that it was well done.
Yeah. The worst, I didn't like Silky and Evie. I think
we'll talk about this. I think that the clear worst was Silky. I think it's impossible to deny that.
Yes,
and I think that a large part of that does come from the fact that Soju was on her team. Soju, what the hell?
She can't walk in heels.
You can't walk in heels. And it's like, people have brought up the point, oh, that's discrimination to say that she can't participate in drag if you can't walk in heels. Girl, sometimes you just can't do things if you're not physically able to, okay?
Or at the very least, if you're able to creatively come up with a way to make up for whatever deficiency you have that's in its own right impressive, then I think it's fine. She was just like, I'll wear baby heels or flats.
If you lack an essential talent, then that's an issue. Also, please stop talking about the stupid cyst thing. I hate that.
Yeah,
Please, it's not funny.
yeah.
It's not funny.
It's just gross.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
You have seriously... Soju has tarnished her name from this show.
Yeah.
Everything about it has just...
Yeah.
She has fallen in my eyes, and she wasn't even in my eyes to begin with,
Yeah,
but now she's in negative eyes.
Yeah,
So.
I feel bad that she's kind of a joke. Overall, the entire look was bad.
The next time I hear sisters, I'm turning off the show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as in the pun.
Yeah.
Of course.
And then finally, I feel like you could make a case for potentially meh just because of how much fun Scarlet and Evie were having.
When they came out, I thought that it was a top. And then I think that I did exactly what the judges did and looked at it a little more closely and said, yeah, it isn't that well designed.
Yeah, not at all.
But,
Like
okay.
Scarlet's looked like it looked barren, and it just looked shot. It literally looked like kids' arts and craft.
Their delivery was incredible.
But-
the way that they showed it was incredible.
But it's-
But while I think that a delivery can make up for a simple costume, once again, say a kid's dinosaur costume can be brought into the top with good delivery, I don't think that an inherently bad, shoddy costume can be saved by it, especially when like it just doesn't look that good.
Yeah, and especially when this is most especially a design challenge.
They did bring out something really cool in Scarlet that we haven't really seen since she did the Creature of the Black Lagoon.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
but
But-
that aesthetic was miserable.
I would have put it in meh,
I would have put it on the
and
bottom.
I would have been comfortable with either Evie or Nina taking the bottom two.
Yeah.
But I think, like, on instinct, I thought that Evie's delivery was significantly better. But then they throw a loop into everything, because Rue does the classic thing of, which queen do you think should go home? And the eliminated queens get to talk as well.
Yeah, and it's
here's
literally
where things get weird.
It's literally half Evie, half Silky.
It's a little more Silky than it is Evie,
but it's literally, for the most part, it is Evie and Silky. We get to the lip sync, Silky versus Nina. I personally think it should have been Evie versus Silky.
I don't mind this lip sync outcome, actually. I think that Rue knew that this lip sync competition would be a little closer, and personally, I don't mind.
Which we'll get into. That's part of the problem with the later topic. But nonetheless, let's deal with what we have at hand. Nina and Silky. I think it was both bland.
This was one of the
Most
not
mediocre.
one of the. This was the worst lip sync I've seen. I went back and watched the I Will Survive lip sync, and famous for its double elimination, of course.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that was better than this.
it was. I looked at it and I'm like, this was so much better. Both of these queens did so poorly. Nina kind of stood there and did these weird motions that didn't fit with the song.
Yeah.
While Silky did this weird thing where she did half-hearted
It was
splits
so
and then
awkward.
struggled to get up. It was so bad.
I just to briefly comment. She talks so much game about her lip sync skills,
And then
that's
she
what
does this.
That's hilarious. That's the funniest joke to come out of this show, I think. Like, that is what she built up to. Like, if there is a Final Four lip sync, she's losing.
Yeah, this was a problem.
Yeah, like that was like embarrassing. And like the fact that Rue went meh and didn't double sachet. What?
Say what you want about whether Evie should have been in the bottom two or not, but based on that lip sync, they both should have gone home.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
If you had to choose one, I would have said Silky because she's been in the bottom more. And that was
Yeah.
if you were forcing me at gunpoint to choose one. Because in any other situation, I would say, okay, you had a double save before. This is when you have the double
This is
sachet.
this is how you make up for it. But no, we didn't. So Nina goes home despite...
Which I don't get, because personally, I do think that... Okay, you know what? No, I think that Nina did kind of do worse in this lip sync, but based on performance...
I don't know.
Overall.
I think Nina did... Because Nina was
Nina
goofy.
didn't move... Okay, yeah, but
but
this
at
was
the-
not a song to be goofy in.
That's true. Nina was goofy, but at the very
It
least...
misread
like,
the mood.
Yes, but at the very least, like, she wasn't, like, looking like she's dying. Like doing the... Like... It was consistently one thing, like, Silky's consistently found new ways to be bad.
I personally think that you could make an argument that Nina's lip sync was a little worse.
But I think
either way, this season's lip sync decisions have been increasingly questionable ever since we had Vanjie saved last week for some who knows what reason.
Save that for a second. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nina goes home despite having a clear arc of improvement.
And now we're at the top 5.
Yes, we're at the top 5.
This top 5.
Yes, we've mentioned the untucked and passing throughout, so we don't really need to reiterate.
The important thing is that there's claims that Brooke was being a little shady because she called out Silky's. She said, "Oh, Silky, your outfit looks so good," and then she said that Silky should have gone home. I don't know about that, and I don't care. Silky said that she was all nice.
Yeah.
She wasn't. Evie said that she's trying to be nice.
She's
You could
not.
make an argument.
She's not doing the best of jobs.
She hasn't been doing the best of jobs, but she does seem anguished that people don't see it that way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that seemed genuine, and I kind of get that. But
Alas.
regardless.
All right, we've been kind of poking at this issue throughout last week,
We've
weeks
been
before
prodding
today.
at it with hot tongs.
So let's just get into it. So, RuPaul's Drag Race. Overproduced, favoritism, or is it something else entirely? So let me define these terms. Is it overproduced in that the producers in the back are kind of just nudging RuPaul in directions of keep these people around because it will make the best television? Is it favoritism in that RuPaul is just picking the queens that she likes the most despite how well or poorly they've done? Or is it something else entirely? Is it another reason that we can't think of? Personally, I feel like it's a whole lot of both of the first two, especially in this season.
I can't put a finger on it. If it's production, then it's ridiculous production, and if it's not, then I don't know what to say. In All Stars 3, they knew when Bendel Creme was going home that she had written her own name on the lip sync. And yes, she did win that lip sync, which she otherwise probably shouldn't have won, because her name was on her lipstick. And that was a good moment. And you know what? While there was a lot of production in that moment, it was also a jaw-dropping moment that was really good.
Yes.
But I don't know.
I feel
One
like
part of the reason why, look, the fan base has always been very critical about what they see as production. The people who watch this show are often so incredibly cynical that I sometimes think that it's too far. But there are some things that I have questions about, especially after that 6-person lip sync when we saw, hey, these double cameras are perfectly viable. And now not only are we seeing these double cameras not used, but we're also seeing that they're focusing on different things to kind of change the opinion of the lip sync.
Yeah.
I think that if there's production here, then it's just stupid production.
Yeah.
Because they're making some seriously questionable choices. Once again, I think that you can defend Scarlett going home in terms of if she doesn't have this essential talent, then she's not going to make it on this show. So we'll send her home now, and she'll get a chance to actually become better at dancing. But some of these other decisions are seriously like, huh?
Yeah.
If you're going to produce things, you want it to be produced and then still make sense.
Yeah, like I feel like it's like 1 week it just feels overly produced. 1 week it feels like RuPaul just playing the favorite card. Like last week feels like a whole lot of both. Keep Vanjie, she makes good television. Also, it has been clearly shown that RuPaul loves Vanjie. So despite Vanjie being repeatedly worse than Suga, and like arguably deserved to go home, she kept her on.
When Connie is saying that Vanjie should have gone home, you know that it's serious.
Yeah, or like,
okay?
and like this is a reoccurring. Hasn't been just this season. Like, let's go back to All Stars 4 with like the constant like we need to keep Latrice on. I want to keep Latrice on. Just it like.
Well,
Clear that RuPaul loves Latrice.
I mean, you could say that was like due to the choices of the winner of the lip sync, where they constantly kept on choosing somebody else except for Latrice. And people were asking, seriously, is this not Latrice's time? Because you do have to keep in mind that is chosen by the winner of the top lip sync. I feel like there's a little less production there, and that Maybe they should have found another way to send Latrice home or not bring her back at all
Yeah.
when she clearly didn't win that lip sync with Monique. But I don't think that the production was at the same extent. I mean, aside of the finale, which, as we all know, is a disaster.
Yeah, that's another thing. That's so production in their face.
They could have given it to either queen and nobody would have or should have complained.
But they gave it to both because it feels like productions, because it has to be what production said, because it just how last minute edited it was.
If you're going to produce something like this, then make it good production.
Yeah, it just
I don't know what else to say.
It has felt over and over just progressively more awkward and just like baffling. Like,
why hasn't Vanjie gone home? Why is Silky?
Silky-
Why is this the first time that Silky has lip synced?
Yeah.
Why haven't some of these queens gotten in the top when perhaps they could have?
Yeah.
There's seriously a lot of questions all around. What else are we missing that has been produced at this point that we don't know what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm baffled.
It really just, it's the type of thing that, like, there's part of me that thinks, are they just trying to frustrate fans because they know anger will keep them wanting to watch the next episode? Like,
I don't know if anger will keep them watching another season, though.
But that's a thing, though. I feel like it's like push it as far as you can until you notice a detriment. But so far, they're just milking it.
I mean, I can't say for sure. I know that I'll watch the next season regardless.
Yeah.
I don't care whether it makes me angry or whether it makes me happy. I'd rather it make me happy.
But
here's like the other thing. When we had our mid-season talk, I spoke about how, no, the season actually isn't necessarily that bad. The queens are not underwhelming. They're really good. It's just that the production's kind of gotten in the way. Well, now I feel like the production's gotten in the way entirely, where these queens that I thought were really good and showed a lot of potential just aren't here anymore. I mean, we've seen Nina go. We've seen Plastique go. And I mean, look, they've had some issues, but they did have a lot of potential as queens. And what's the most disappointing part is that we're at our top 5. And look, Evie falling off recently is her own doing. That's her thing to fix. I'm bringing up some serious questions for somebody who was seen as a super top competitor in the beginning and is now safer in the bottom more often than not. I'm concerned about that for her own sake. I mean, if she wants to fix that, that's kind of her thing. But we still have like a few good queens. We have Akira doing some good stuff, and we have Brooklyn being consistently good. But why are Vanjie and Silky in our top 5?
Yeah, it should be top 4 already. And
there's so many weeks. There are like 3 weeks where Vanjie should have been in the lip sync or should have gone home, or both. And there were quite a few weeks when you could have said that about Silky. Look, I wouldn't want Suga in my top 4 because I don't think that she's been doing very well.
Yeah.
But I think that it makes more sense to have her in there than to have Vanjie in there.
Yeah, it's just frustrating.
Look, Vanjie's a fun character.
Yeah.
But where she is on this show right now, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you fix this. I just hope it doesn't get this egregious in further seasons.
You know how you fix this?
Take a break.
Well, I mean, you could just answer, bring Shangela back. But aside from that, make Shangela win. You know, that's production that I won't complain about. But the only way to fix this is to make sure. The production needs to make sure that either Vanjie or Silky goes home. And I don't care if they have to manipulate the challenge to do it, because it won't be right if both of them are in the top 4.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. That's our raving, and that's our episode today. Thank y'all so much for listening.
Good luck on finals for all of you who still have them, either today when this is coming out or Monday.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm Connie Lingus here with...
Very disappointed.
Also known as Peter. Super special thank you to Miss Darling for their song Young Lovers,
which we use in the intro and outro of this podcast.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day.